And Eddie Jordan, the flamboyant former Formula One team owner and television pundit, has died at the age of 76. One of the most charismatic figures in Formula One, Eddie Jordan, has died at the age of 76. He owned the Jordan team from 1991 and 2005, winning 4 races, and then became an often outspoken television pundit. Our sports correspondent Andy Swiss looks back on his life.
He was Formula One's flamboyant force of nature. As a team owner and then as a TV personality.
One of the greatest new races on the calendar. Let's go racing!
Life with Eddie Jordan was never dull. An Irish karting champion, in 1991 Jordan formed his own F1 team with remarkable results. He gave the great Michael Schumacher his debut and, despite a small budget, made a huge impact.
Get ready in Britain and Ireland!
In 1998, Damon Hill gave Jordan's team their first Grand Prix victory.
Damon Hill wins. Eddie Jordan at last, after all his efforts.
He was irreverent, he was crazy, and there isn't a single person who has not been affected positively in some way by Eddie. He gave a huge amount to charity, he never stopped, he never wasted a single second of his life.
Jordan's team even challenged for the world title in 1999 before he sold up and turned to TV.
David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan alongside me.
As a pundit, he was forthright.
To be a great champion, you need raw speed, you need arrogance, you need belief. Is every driver in Formula One arrogant? If they're not, they shouldn't be there.
But he was also immense fun. Jordan was always game for a laugh.
Are we impressed?
Whatever the activity.
Guys, I've come to Silverstone in the past, but I've never done it like this.
He also loved drumming, and Eddie Jordan lived his life with that same rock and roll spirit, passionate and hugely popular. One of motorsport's greatest mavericks.
Eddie Jordan, who has died at the age of 76.
The charisma, energy and Irish charm of former F1 team boss Eddie Jordan has been remembered following his death at the age of 76. He had been diagnosed with bladder and prostate cancer in December last year, something which he shared on social media. The Irishman rose to fame by defying the odds to bring his Independence Jordan team into Formula One. Johnny Herbert, who raced with Jordan in Formula 3, told ITV News he was a force of nature. Neil Connery looks back at his career.
However, no wins since 2012. No Constructors' title since 1998. What has gone wrong?
Eddie Jordan lived life almost as fast as Formula One. His infectious effervescence as a team owner or TV pundit touched many. He emerged as a major figure in Irish motorsport in the 70s with that trademark beard. Launching his own team in 1991 and debuting a young Michael Schumacher.
Schumacher was available this weekend. He had no other commitments.
Jordan's team was a force burning rubber until 2005, winning 4 Grand Prix before it was sold.
We hopefully would have inspired a lot of young teams, even to this day, that, hey, you can come into Formula One, you can defy all the odds, you can actually grab it by the horns and say, we are going to do everything we can to be competitive.
When he came to Formula One, I think it was a bit of a shock because it was something very, very different. You know, you had this loud Irishman bouncing around in the paddock with all the energy that he had. But my, did he do a fantastic job.
He went on to master being a TV pundit and broadcaster.
I think you're going to be walking home.
Enjoying the limelight.
It was a big surprise to a lot of people.
No stranger to making a splash.
This is your moment, Eddie Jordan.
Even if reluctantly, in Monaco.
I think this is a first for Eddie Jordan.
He was also a keen drummer. Eager to add a dash of rock and roll. But at the end of last year, in his own podcast, he spoke of his cancer.
I was diagnosed with bladder and prostate cancer, and then it spread into into the spine and the pelvis, so it was quite aggressive.
As he crosses life's finishing line, for Eddie Jordan's many admirers, the checkered flag is waving in style.
Remembering Eddie Jordan, who's died aged 76.
The death is announced of former Formula One racing team owner Eddie Jordan. He's died at the age of 76. Some breaking news for you at 9 o'clock this morning. The former Formula One team owner and TV pundit Eddie Jordan has died at the age of 76.
The Irishman revealed in December that he'd been fighting aggressive prostate cancer. Mike joins us now. Morning to you. Some sad news developing this morning. Just remind us the key role that he had in F1.
Yeah, that's really, really sad news this morning. Our thoughts go out to his family, his 4 children and his wife. So, I mean, he went way beyond Formula One, to be honest. So he grew up in Dublin, he worked at a bank. He got into motorsport, first of all, through karting. He was actually the Irish champion back in 1971, but then he put his love, his money, obviously, he was a very successful Irish businessman, into the Jordan Formula One racing team, the Grand Prix team, which ran all the way from 1991 to 2005. Some of the biggest drivers in the sport drove for Jordan, the likes of Damon Hill, who's been on breakfast this morning, Eddie Irvine, Martin Brundle, Michael Schumacher. They came third in the championship, the Constructors' Championship back in 1999 with 4 victories overall. But his influence went way beyond that because, as well as Formula One, he did a lot of charity work. He was given an OBE for his charity work. He was into his golf. I remember watching him playing the drums with his band at the 2014 Ryder Cup. He was the big act the night before it all started at Glen Eagles. Fantastic band. So he was famous for his music, as I say, his charity work, golf, and also rugby union. Right to the end, you know, in February this year, he was he led a consortium to help rescue the London Irish Rugby Club. Had fallen on hard times, so still involved in different sports throughout his life and career. An incredible career, an incredible life that he's led. He was a TV personality as well, wasn't he? He was the pundit on the BBC Formula One coverage and later on Channel 4. So he did so much beyond just investing in Formula One. He'll be remembered for so many different things.
And he only announced his diagnosis, middle of last year, and then he described it as an aggressive form of cancer, didn't it? So, you know, things happening very quickly. It
was, and that was a shock because he does, as often is the case, he seems so fit and healthy and so active, as I say, all the way up until this year, indeed, investing in the London Irish. So we have had this statement. He's passed away peacefully, with his family by his side. It was in Cape Town, where he had some interest in sailing as well, in the early hours of the 20th of March 2025. Yes, he did have sailing interests out in South Africa, which is why that statement says that he passed away in Cape Town, but surrounded by his family, which is some comfort.
We had Damon Hill on the programme earlier, and he was talking about this era and how Formula One changed so much throughout it.
And he was one of the big influences behind that, with his team, as I say, all the way from 1991 to 2005, and having those really big names driving for the team. It showed what a big team it was, indeed, in the sport. Came third, as I say, in 1999 in the Constructors' Championship. So this all becomes a real shock for fans. He was a defining figure in Formula One, and then later on in so many different sports.
That statement goes on, they call him EJ there, Eddie Jordan, brought an abundance of charisma, energy and Irish charm everywhere he went, says that statement. We all have a huge hole missing without his presence, missed by so many people, but he leaves us with tons of great memories to keep us smiling through our sorrow. What will be his legacy here? What did he do to the sport?
Well, I mean, a massive influence in Formula One for all those years, and then other sports as well. The legacy is now left at London Irish, leading that consortium. But wider than that, all the charity work he's done with Click Sargent, helping to improve so many different lives. And I'm glad it said his charisma there, because that's what I remember from that time with him at the 2014 Glen Eagles Ryder Cup, when he was playing the drums, entertaining the crowds, but then he didn't just leave. He was talking to so many different fans with his energy, and his good sense of humour was rubbing off on all of us, and it just led to a fantastic atmosphere. He had time for everybody after that gig that he played.
And after his diagnosis, he was keen, wasn't he, for people to but also for people to be aware of symptoms and to seek medical advice, but also to live life to the full.
Absolutely. So his influence goes way beyond sport.
The Irishman had revealed in December that he'd been fighting aggressive prostate cancer. The former driver, Damon Hill, has been paying tribute to him this morning.
Damon, we've just heard the sad news about Eddie Jordan. Could we just get your initial reaction?
Well, we're all very sad and shocked. We knew that Eddie was fighting the disease, and whilst we knew it was serious, we thought there might be a chance that he'd win, but sadly he's lost that, and there'll never be anyone like Eddie Jordan. We'll hear a lot more about what he was like, and my just thoughts go to the Jordan family, who are lovely people, and Eddie was a huge influence on me and many people in motorsport and around the world. There'll never be anyone like him.
Can you just sum up the influence Eddie Jordan had on Formula One in this country?
Well, he was gregarious, as you know. He was irreverent, he was crazy, and he also was... I lived in Ireland when I raced with Eddie, and I was privileged to have won a Grand Prix with Eddie and seen the effect. But he influenced everyone, and there isn't a single person in that era and since really who has not been affected positively in some way by Eddie. He gave a huge amount to charity. He never stopped. He never wasted a single second of his life, and he energised everyone he was near. So it's a huge loss.
It's the Chinese Grand Prix this weekend. How do you think the paddock will remember Eddie Jordan?
Well, I hope they really do remember him. I'm sure that there's lots of people. I don't know if David Coulthard's out there who works closely with him, and everyone will remember Eddie fondly, and will have some amazing stories to tell.
Damon Hill speaking to us there on the news that the former Formula One team owner Eddie Jordan has died at the age of 76.
Yeah, there will be tributes across the BBC throughout the day.